la la.
Opera with Phil on Mondays. What happened?
Oh no, I failed. I got confused talking to Charles, and I failed at my duties. Okay.
Did you make a spot?
You.
But look.
What? You screwed that up.
Here, look, hold this. Now I can turn it back around.
What? Why are you?
I had to have everybody see the shenanigans that is.
How about you hit the freaking button, Elizabeth?
Okay, let's let it do its thing. It's still moving. There we go. What are you doing? It's moving to you, I think. See, you should be the one doing this, so it. Do the little.
I can't do that.
That's the best. That cracks me up so much. The elevator.
Elevator?
Or that was the
Steps.
escalator. Escalator. That's what I meant.
It was steps.
I know that yours was steps, but I like the
I can't do the escalator because that's too smooth for me.
Did you go to Costco yesterday?
I did.
How was it?
Honestly, I thought it was going to be an absolute disaster because the parking lot was a freaking mess. But there was it's like they've all been watching this video and everybody got the hell out of my way.
I agree. I
don't know what happened,
the exact
but-
same thing. And people were like I started to come out of an aisle and somebody was waiting to let me turn in, out into traffic. I didn't even have my blinker on or anything. It was crazy.
Cindy, I thought Cindy was going to get us in a fist fight.
That would
Because there was one jack wagon that was hauling ass through there, and we were leaving an aisle, turning left down the main aisle, and he cut between her and the end cap or whatever, and just pushed his way through. And she was like, "Excuse me."
Oh, I love saying "excuse me" like that. Excuse me, and anyway,
Yeah.
Are you belt fed about anything?
I don't know. Just keep talking.
Oh,
We'll see.
that's how it works.
No, I don't really think so, because I didn't do anything yesterday except go to Costco. What the hell else did I do yesterday?
I mean, just about life in general. It doesn't have to be about Costco.
I know,
always.
but that's what I'm saying. It's I didn't do anything else. No, I don't know.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, I don't really have anything for that.
I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Did you do anything fun and exciting this weekend?
No.
No? Me neither.
Oh, we dyed Easter eggs.
We will probably do that after Easter.
Why?
That's usually when that's when we carve pumpkins too.
Really?
After Halloween.
I mean,
It's just
I
you
always
get all this stuff, and it's you just don't have the time,
I-
don't have the time, and
totally get it. I'm
So
the
forth.
same way. I've been stressing about it. I always stress about it, but thanks. You giving me permission to do it after that.
yeah. I mean, I think the last 3 or 4 years we have carved pumpkins after Halloween.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't know about the Easter egg thing. I was so confused. Cindy said a couple of times on either Friday or Saturday that Easter was this weekend. She'd say I don't know how she'd word it, but it'd make me and I was so confused. I thought I missed a week, which isn't uncommon. Right?
I bought all my Easter stuff already a while ago, so now I feel like I'm not prepared because it's
'Cause you're
not
not
a
doing it
last
last
minute.
minute.
Yeah, I've been much better at that with Christmas and holidays lately. So
Well, that's good.
yeah. Good morning, Brian.
Ryan, good morning.
No, Brian.
Brian. Well, there's probably a Ryan out
Ryan
there.
is watching.
Oh, look at
right?
that. See?
But
Ryan
he didn't
and
say
Ryan.
anything yet. Janet's playing with clay and not clay pigeons. Well,
Who?
Janet.
Oh. Are you making me a vase?
Lady
Or
Sandra
you-
will be playing with clay pigeons.
Are you going to make me
This-
what's
This,
the voodoo doll? She's making a voodoo doll.
you don't make those out of clay.
Maybe she does. How do you know?
I mean, that's not wrong.
What do you make them out of?
How do you?
What do you make them out of?
How would I know?
Well, then how do you know they don't use clay?
Is your ankle still bugging you?
Yes. Or you're going to talk about clay pigeons. What were you talking about? Clay
Oh
pigeons?
yeah, we're gonna go do shotgun stuff this summer somewhere. We got some things starting to line up for that, for us to go do shotgun things.
That'd be awesome. Do it.
Just so it's a secret.
It's a secret. Uh-oh. That ain't good.
Okay.
So what did we, why do we, I feel so out of sorts? Why do I feel so out of sorts this morning? You two, like, we don't know what to
I don't
talk
know.
about. We talk about the same stuff
Good morning, Kent.
all the time. We did have a little bit of discussion of a thing that we probably shouldn't talk about, which maybe somebody will bring it up and we get to talk about it. But we'll see how today goes.
See, there's Ryan saying good morning, and Andy, good morning.
Andy, good morning. Ryan, officially good morning. This weekend we had a bunch of great classes going on. We had defensive handgun 1, basic pistol, shotgun 1. What?
I didn't teach on Saturday at the range. That's what the.
Yeah, you
It's,
taught
we're
away
all out
from
of
here,
sorts.
though.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we taught at Gracie.
Yes.
And we did the Women's Awareness and Safety Seminar at Gracie. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Met some new cool people.
Yeah, for sure. And they're so excited to come to the
Yeah.
self-defense workshop on the 23rd.
Yes. So when is that? How do they sign up? How do we do all that stuff? This is a
My phone is right there.
so use it.
That would probably.
I see a lot of things popping up there, but
it's people watching.
okay.
Andy says Claybirds when? Probably. Well, it's a Lady Sentinel thing, so you'll have to wear a skirt. But sometime this spring or summer, you're gonna shoot shotgun with Clint Smith at Thunder Range.
Who is?
Yeah. who?
Oh, no, I think he was saying you guys.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
Yep. Blackhawk. Ritz. Good morning, Ritz.
Ritz, good morning.
I got all off kilter. What were we talking about?
Oh, the lady sent, or no, the women's
Oh, okay. So
self-defense clinic.
April 23rd, 7 to 9, and
Not here, down the street
Not
from
here.
us
It's
at Gracie Baja.
We have a sign up link. There's some flyers around here, but it's on our it's on the Facebook as an event. If not, it's gonna be there. So, good morning, Kelsey.
Yeah, so ladies, get signed up for that. It's $50. You get 2 hours of awesomeness. So an hour of striking,
Punch, film, face
and and then an hour of grappling. It's a fantastic time.
So, JB says embarrassing gun questions. Yes.
Yes.
Stay tuned. And put them down in the comments if you have any.
And
That you've heard or
yes,
you have
what
yourself.
we mean by that is stuff that people.
Feel like they. Like
Yeah.
this is probably a stupid question. It's almost never a stupid question.
Yeah, almost never.
Almost never.
Sometimes it is.
Ryan says he wants to shoot trap with that pretty blue shotgun we have on the wall. Well,
Okay.
you gotta come get it.
You gotta
first.
come get it. Yeah.
Does my gun look big in this holster? Never answer that question. Hi, James. Good morning. Monday morning to you. And Jeff Alley. Good morning.
Jeffrey Alley. Good morning.
Okay. All right. So, questions like, what is +1 capacity?
Yeah, because it's there's things that we say as gun people in our vernacular that don't make sense to a lot of people. You know, like we'll say this is 13 plus 1 or 15 plus 1. Like, why the hell not just say 14 or 16? And people don't know what that means. And then when you explain it, or when dummy rounds, like, can this go bang? Right? And when you explain it, they're like, oh, that was dumb. No, it's not. Right? It's not. It doesn't make sense to you, so you ask the question. That's how you get it to make sense.
Do you have to aim a shotgun?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes.
What
All
is a
the
booger
time.
hook? What is a booger hook? So anyway, we have a small list here. Good morning, Lou. So if you got
Ooh, good morning.
if you got your own questions, put them in the comment. We'll try to keep up with it. They're like clip is
I know.
Yeah,
and
they're like going
we
fast.
can only
so,
see one line.
One and a
That's
half,
It,
but-
that's it.
Yeah. Good old iPhone.
Clipazine. We
Clipazine.
actually have that on here. What's the difference between a magazine and a clip?
We do.
So? Do you want to go through these and try
Answer
to answer them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so what's
we're
the
not going to just read off the questions and be like,
These are
"Good
dumb.
luck."
So what does +1 capacity mean, Liz?
How many safeties does a Glock have? Ooh. Well, that's. Where's Vinny? We need
Yeah,
the
we need Vinny for that.
philosophy.
Yeah, we need the geometry
is it
and
a double action or a strike or fire? Oh boy.
The answer is yes.
Yes. Anyway, so what's plus round capacity mean? So like it's
Plus
a 17.
one, not plus round.
That's what I said.
You said plus round.
I just said.
Play it back. Instant replay.
I mean, technically either is theoretically correct.
What? No.
Plus round. So anyway, that's
Anyway.
what it is. A plus one is an additional round that is carried in your chamber in addition to a topped off magazine.
So this magazine will hold 15. So we would say that the capacity of the gun is 15 plus 1. If it ships with a 15 round magazine, the max that it can hold is 16 rounds. Why they don't just say 16, I don't know.
Because because the movies and everybody does a
'Cause.
great job of
Is
thinking
'cause a
that
word?
because it is in my world
know.
that you have to rack the slide before you use it, which in a defensive situation.
I wonder
So-
how many times a gun gets racked in a movie to engage. They'll
Oh.
like draw and rack and shoot a couple of rounds, they put it away, and
They
they
don't
draw
look like
again
that
and
when you
rack,
shoot
and
it. They don't look like that. You can't even do it right. The movies do a terrible job
Oh my
of
God.
gun education.
99% of them.
Yeah. Okay, so Paul, let me see, make sure I get it all. How many safeties did a Glock have? If you pull the trigger harder, does the bullet go further?
Or faster. I actually say that one a lot.
Yeah.
Just because you pull the trigger back super fast doesn't make the bullet go any faster.
Brent says 3. The answer is 3. Aha, I like JB's answer.
Yeah.
It's your question. It's 1. Your brain.
Boom.
I think that's true of all safeties. Like your
Yes.
gun has a safety on it, but that doesn't make the gun
does.
any safer. Like
So
it's you.
do we want to expand on that? I know we've
Sure.
talked about this before.
Hold
but
on, let me read the rest of the questions first.
Yeah.
What are the difference between ammo grain counts? Ooh, we'll do that one.
Okay.
Is one better for a certain application than the other? If dry fire is operating the firearm without any ammo, why isn't operating the gun with ammo?
Called wet fire. It is now. Make your guns wet.
That's great.
Could you imagine walking into a
Plus
a
P
class?
rounds. Oh boy, okay, we got a lot of stuff. Okay, so safeties, grain, and plus P. What would finish? Imagine walking to your class and what?
And saying that, make your guns wet.
I can't.
Anyway, the safety thing that I wanted to talk about, because we hear this a lot at the beginner level, right? Like, hey, I'm brand new to guns. I'm looking for a gun. I don't know anything about them. At least they can hopefully say that out loud. Because I'm new, I really want a gun with a safety. Also, because I have kids at home, so my gun's got to have a safety on it. What? No,
But
and it
I was there.
Yeah.
I was there.
it sounds
It's just
logical.
the unknown.
Right? It makes sense. Yeah, this is definitely the you don't know what you don't know. Like, I'm going to make sure my kids don't watch TV, I'm going to turn off the TV.
Yeah. That's a good way
Okay?
to really.
But then they can just bloop it back on.
Bloop it.
Which
Nerf
is
guns have safety. It's like
what happens with a firearm. If your kid can operate your remote, probably better than you, or a light switch, they can operate the safety on your handgun. That is not a license to just leave it out and about because, well, they can't hurt themselves with it. It's got a safety,
no, bad,
right?
bad.
And that's the wrong way to think about a safety.
And I do hope that even if they do think that the safety keeps it safe from kids, that they didn't envision that. I don't usually think that's
I don't
the
think they
case.
envision leaving the gun out
Yeah.
or anything.
But I
don't think so.
I did have somebody recently that says, well, you know, my kids are old enough now that I can have a gun in the house or something like that. And 10-year-old. And I don't know that necessarily, that doesn't change anything. Like
No.
whether they're 2 or 10, like they shouldn't have access to the gun. So,
Yes.
um,
My kid's very well educated when it comes to guns.
but they're still kids.
They're kids and they do stupid shit. Right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not just leaving guns lay out so that they can do what they want to do.
Yeah. Or hide them or put them on top of the refrigerator and heights and things like that. Like all that stuff. Kids are pretty miraculous. So put it in a safe. Okay. So grain weight.
Green, yeah, and is one better for an application over another? So grain weight is the weight, right? Like, let me see if I can find something.
I'll get you some of that.
Of course. All right, here we go. Here's two 45 ACPs. The faux 5. All right. So maybe. These are like 185s, I think.
Do 9 mil. It's relatable.
Okay. Now those boxes are all messed up. All right. So we have two different. These are both the 9 millimeters. It's really weird because it's backwards, but this is 147 grains. This is 124 grains. So the higher the number, the heavier the bullet. At the most basic level, right? That's all that means, is that if something is 115 grains and something else is 125 grains, the 125 grains weighs more.
There's 7,000 grains in a pound, just so you can. You know that? Isn't that crazy to look at it like that, though?
No.
No.
Anyway, is one better than another? Not really. I mean, yes and no. Okay, so here's the complication of this whole thing. Is, God damn it, I hate this freaking pants. My knife won't come out of my pocket. I'm gonna try to do this without destroying the box. Maybe.
Proud of you.
Yay, me. Look at me go. I guess I could have just taken a bullet out of my gun, but out of my magazine. So you have the bullet here, the projectile. This is what's weighed. Okay, so in this particular case, this is 124 grains. Nope, this is 147 grains. So there's a little bit of this bullet that's down here inside the case. 9 millimeter as a cartridge has got a max overall length. So the max size between I need little bitty fingers between here and here. Boop. Okay. When you start getting heavier and heavier projectiles, well, they can't get any wider. They got to be 9 millimeter. So they got to get longer, and then you start bumping up against that max overall length. Some guns can have feeding issues with it. If they don't, and everything else remains the same, what the hell are you cackling at?
Frank's comment.
If everything else remains the same, okay, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit. If everything else remains the same, the heavier projectile is going to. Well, if everything else remains exactly the same, the amount of powder, man, this could get really complicated really fast.
I know, it's tough.
Because the amount of energy that the bullet has is a combination of speed and weight. Okay, so if this projectile, just for ease of numbers, moves at 1,000 feet per second, and it's 147 grains, and this projectile that's 124 grains moves at 1,000 feet per second, this one's going to hit harder. Okay, now projectile design can come into play. Typically, the heavier projectiles are going to be moving slower, so there's a balance between speed and weight and energy that's in the projectile and the amount of energy that it can transfer to your target. So it's very complicated and way hard to get into. We're trying to take something that's a simple question. It doesn't have a really simple answer. So in the big picture, if your gun shoots it well,
and you shoot it
and you shoot your gun well, it don't freaking matter.
Handguns aren't, there's not a whole lot of stopping power via energy in handguns. The energy dispersion from something with mass. You're looking for your
well, I don't know what I did with the box.
Right
Okay. The knife I found. The box
So, make sure it runs through your gun, plain and simple. If you're just going on the range and shooting. Now, the amount of recoil that you experience.
Yes, if you
small
have
variations.
If you have the exact same amount of powder in each case, the 147 grain is going to have perceived lead potentially. If you're in tune enough with the gun, and you're consistent enough with the gun, because if you have an inconsistent grip, the same ammo can feel completely different
100%.
depending on how you're shooting it, right? So again, if everything else remains exactly the same, that 147 grain projectile is going to use more of the energy to push the bullet down the barrel, so you're going to feel less of it. But sometimes they have to put more powder in it to get the bullet moving, so then you feel more. You know, it's
a balance, and there's a lot to it.
Yes.
It's not an easy answer. And
there's no absolute. And that's what people look for, is like, oh, I want soft shooting ammo, so I need heavy. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Right? You get self-defense ammo, maybe that 147 grain, this is self-defense ammo,
Yeah.
right? So they're trying to push this faster.
And then you have really light bullets that move super fast, and the amount of recoil from them is substantially less. They just act differently. So make sure they run through your gun, shoot them, know what they feel like, and especially your hollow points. Like, make sure that they operate correctly in your gun. You know, I had a Glock, I want to tell you what kind it was. It's Glock 26, it was terrible, a while back, and I put Hornady, the ones with the little polymer tip on them, I don't even know what they're called.
Critical duty or
critical defense, yeah. And it would not feed them. Like, it was, they stuck out just enough, and it got caught on my feed ramp. And you would think, like, well, a Glock will eat anything, and Hornady's great ammo. You're right. But not for that situation.
Yeah.
So
that gun and that ammo just
yeah.
didn't jive.
No, 147 grain sticks out further. So if your chamber's on the just not going to accept it. So just make sure it runs well through your gun, especially your hollow points. Okay.
I have no idea what the hell's going on in the comments. But
JB, look at the comments, guys, because JB's going into some specifics with the grains and NATO and all kinds of stuff. So I'll just read it out loud real quick. Short answer for 9mm 124 is NATO spec, and the safe answer for most service type pistols. Just make sure you use hollow point for self-defense, and you'll be best served by that. Yeah, agreed.
yeah.
However, projectile tend to be slower, maybe subsonic. Yeah, 147s are typically considered subsonic.
In
ammo.
9mm.
In 9mm.
Typically.
A lot of police agencies use 147 because it's better barrier penetration. Windshields, well, there's more energy behind it, so
Yep.
that's true. That's interesting. Glocks also don't like a can. So, all right. So
There you
with
go.
that in mind, plus P means that, again, this is all related to ammo and stuff, but do you usually find that with semi-automatics? I remember it was a big deal with revolver cartridges. Like, they can fit more powder with the 38 specials and stuff like that, so they would have a higher pressure. Plus P means plus pressure, which is the powder.
Yeah, it's
So-
more powder in the cartridge.
I don't really see that much anymore, but I mean, definitely if you look at revolver cartridges, you see it.
Oh,
but-
you definitely see it in the, especially in the self-defense stuff. Of course, I say that, I don't even know where the hell all our self-defense 9mm is, but it just means there's more power, more powder, more poof, more pressure, all the P's. The vast majority. Are there some guns that can't handle the extra pressure of plus P? I'm sure there probably are some
see
older
plus P on
ones.
any of
Okay. But I think most modern guns are going to be able to accept plus P pressures. Nothing that I would be super concerned about unless I had an older firearm. The advantage, so again, right, like ammo has a spec. To be able to call it 9mm, it has to fall within these parameters: certain overall length, certain projectile size, certain amounts of powder, all that sort of stuff. So when you're saying, okay, it normally would have this much powder in it, but we're going to put this much powder in it, so now that's plus poof.
Plus poof.
Plus poof.
Plus poof. That's perfect. Okay, we're gonna move on from ammo. Again, it's a deep topic. So, what is dry fire?
What is wet fire?
So we've mentioned it a couple times already, and we also brought up dummy rounds too. So dummy rounds.
So they're over here, Liz. Now they're on this end. They moved them. and again, this is something that we say just normally. Hey, when you go home, dry fire your gun. Well, we know what that means, but not everybody does. Dry fire just means that you are shooting your gun, but there's no ammo in the room, around you, period, whatsoever.
These are dummy rounds. There they are.
I think we're back, maybe.
We're back. So these are dummy rounds, sometimes called snap caps, but they are completely inert. They don't make any noise. They don't fire any projectile. They do nothing other than help you understand loading magazines, understanding the cycle of operations. I think they're extremely valuable for that. Clearing malfunctions, learning how to clear jams in your gun and things like that. And
learning how to load a magazine.
Oh, yeah, huge.
I mean, that's such a simple thing, and it's such a complicated thing. It is an indicator to us that you've done some sort of practice with your gun, period, whatsoever. It's hugely valuable to sit at home with these things. Don't use live ammo because you're human and you get distracted and you do silly things. Get a package of dummy rounds and practice loading your gun with these. Practice loading your magazine. When you get comfortable with that, practice loading the gun, inserting the mag and racking the slide. That's another question that we get is that I can't rack the slide.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
For sure.
Yes, you can. Very, very, very few circumstances have we had anybody who could not, and it's been because of some physical thing that we didn't have the knowledge of how to work around.
I had a lady work with me before that she had real bad arthritis, like rheumatoid arthritis. So her hands were quite disfigured, and she could not grasp anything. Essentially, we found all kinds of ways. She was extremely determined, which I totally admire in her. And we ended up using a 22, but she was able to accomplish the task. And I will never recommend a 22 to somebody for self-defense, but if that is absolutely all you can muster, then, everybody's different. So it ended up working. But now with the ability to mount optics on the top of a handgun, you don't even need this. You can use your hand in front of the optic to pull it back. So if you have a hard time grasping onto things, there's different variations. You can use your pinky and your ring finger. You can use more of this here to grab on top of it, get the leverage a different way. And there's all kinds of ways. So if you have trouble with that, trust us, come up, get some education on it.
We'll show you. I mean, it's a very, very common
deal.
thing.
Yeah.
We'll hear people say, I can't do it, or my wife needs to look at this because, this revolver, because she can't rack a slide. That's not true.
They're going to have a harder time shooting the gun because of the grip strength required to pull the trigger on a revolver. And that's a common misconception. Like, well, I don't have to rack slides or load magazines. Get a Maglula, a speed loader, to load magazines. It's effortless. And what?
It just reminded me of a comment on video, the little short that Vin and I did. We were clearing malfunctions, drawing, shooting, clearing malfunctions and stuff. And somebody commented and basically said, this is why a semi-automatic could get you killed, is because they malfunction. If I was using my revolver, I could just pull the trigger again. My
revolver is broke right now. It's literally the only, I'm spicy. It's literally the only gun that I've ever broken. It has the least amount of rounds of any of my guns.
And so what happens when you pull the trigger on your revolver right now?
It doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything.
It is, and I can't fix it. Like, I can't tap and rack. I can't get the gun back in order. Semi-automatics malfunction from user error, almost 99% of the time. Revolvers malfunction from mechanical error. There are way more moving parts in a revolver. The timing required to make sure that gun works exactly the way it's supposed to, it's insane. And I understand the sentiment of, if there's no mechanical action that is happening from your trigger press that can keep a semi-auto moving forward, a revolver has that ability. So if the gun goes click, all you got to do is pull the trigger again, and it literally mechanically makes the gun go to the next round. I get that. But a semi-automatic is much more reliable long-term, and if you run the gun the correct way, you almost never experience malfunctions. And if you do, it is in your brain to quickly clear it if you practice it. I have experienced this firsthand when I went to the competition. It just happened. I didn't even remember it happening. Train it. I promise it's worth it, because the sacrifices you make for a revolver for that reason alone is immense.
If I put a dummy, if I give you 6 rounds in your shadow systems and 6 rounds in your revolver.
My revolver only holds 5.
5, okay. So let's just say 5, and one of those is a dummy round. Yes, the revolver, you're going to get the next shot off sooner because you're just going to pull the trigger. If you don't go bang, bang, click, the shit just happened, right? If you know it's coming, bang, 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 click, bang, right?
Yeah.
Sure. And on the semi-automatic, bang, bang, click, tap, rack, bang. It's going to take
Just
you
like
longer.
that. Yep.
However, the chance of you having a bad round is super low. Can that happen? Yes, absolutely it can. The chance of your revolver failing because of the mechanical things aren't jiving. All the little pawls and levers and stuff aren't moving everything the right way. When that fails, there is no tap rack. Fix it. There is just...
It's dead.
It's a hammer.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Sludging tool.
Yeah. So if you like revolvers, nothing wrong with
Yeah.
it. We're not saying that that's a terrible thing. It's just...
I love revolvers.
Yeah,
I do. I very much enjoy shooting revolvers, but not for that reason. So it's
Yeah.
just a sacrifice. Everything's a sacrifice. What's the difference between a magazine and a clip? That's a big one.
Big picture. Well, so first off, this is, we like to say, nails on a chalkboard for the gun community, right? When you call these things clips, right? Because the media calls it a clip, the movies call it clips, everybody around you calls it clips. These are magazines. Easiest way that I say it is magazines hold ammunition internally and feed a gun. Clips hold ammunition externally and feed a magazine.
Yep. They exist.
Yeah,
but
we
they're
use
just-
clips in the gun
yeah.
world. But,
Yep.
so,
That's
big
it.
picture.
Big
Is that
picture.
absolute? No, but big picture, that's the easiest way to think about it.
The rounds, the little individual units of ammunition, we call them rounds. Could they go off if you drop them, if you push on them too hard, if you kick them across the room, things like that? No, you never say never, but
Yeah.
they're incredibly. There's a very. Can you pull one of your out so you can see the primer on it? It's a very, very, very specific spot that has to be hit very precisely. And it's this little guy there called a primer, and that has to be hit with a firing pin. And so if you did drop it on the ground or you pushed on it real hard as you're putting it in your magazine, oh no, that's not going to make it fire. Let's say worst absolute case, it flies out of your gun and it lands on an open box of ammo. So this actually happened here before, right?
I don't know that that happened here. That happened somewhere else. But we have had one come out of a gun and go off. But we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay, so I see this often. It's like the student will put their ammo underneath the bench because they'll put it back in the box to protect it from flying brass and stuff like that. I've never seen anything happen with that. Like, it can land on top of your brass. Like, it's not going to hit it hard enough. But let's just say you threw a round into a fire. Okay. Yes, it would go off eventually. It would cook off from the heat, but it doesn't have a barrel, a chamber to get pressure to give it a trajectory. So it's not going to, it's going to be loud. It's going to be like a big firecracker in the fire, and that would be it. You're not going to experience anything other than just like maybe little specks of
Powder burn
something.
or
Yeah.
something.
There's no projectile with a purpose going anywhere.
There's nothing. The pressure when the bullet leaves the case, right? When the bullet leaves, when the bullet leaves the case, there's nothing containing the pressure pushing the bullet down. So as it leaves the case, all the pressure just billows out around it. So the projectile doesn't leave with any sort of force. We had one happen here a couple of years ago. I've got the case on my desk, and I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it on the video.
Oh, that was a hang fire, right?
I don't know what it was.
Okay.
I mean, maybe, but customer pulled the trigger, click, tap, rack, and it was as it hit the ground, boom, it went off.
I bet it was a hang fire.
I mean, maybe, but I have the hardest time visualizing a hang fire with modern ammo. Period.
I've never
But
seen one in real life.
It went off, and the slug, the bullet, hit her in the leg. I mean, it
Ow.
thumped her. Right, that was it. It scared her because it went off when it hit the ground, and the case came apart and all opened up and stuff. It's super rare.
Yeah.
Super, super, super rare. I've never, and previous to that, I wouldn't have believed it.
I've still never seen one in person, like a hang fire in
And then
person.
I've had one.
Or
This wasn't a hang fire or anything. This was, we used to have metal grates in our floors downstairs on the range, and I was downrange cleaning up. Somebody else was uprange on the grates cleaning stuff up, and they dropped the grate back down. Well, there was a 22, a rim fire, so the primer is in the rim instead of in the middle, and he dropped it on that rim fire cartridge, and it went off. Well, I'm down where the bullets are supposed to go, and I heard a pop. I was like, what was that? I look up, and his eyes are super big.
you probably need new pants
Yeah,
after
it
that.
scared him. Yeah, but it didn't. The bullet didn't go anywhere. You know, it's because there's no pressure.
Awesome. What about the gun just going off?
Well,
Well,
I mean,
can your gun just go off?
no. Unless there's a.
This is. We're trying
This-
to
yes,
be
this is-
lighthearted about this, but it's something that we need to, because it's going to come up. Somebody, yep. See, there it is. There's the question right there. There's been, okay, so let's just give big picture first. Modern handguns are designed to not go off randomly. They don't just go off. I have a loaded gun pointed right at my femoral artery right now.
Me too.
If that was even a possibility, I would not do that.
Nope.
And I trust my gun, I trust my gear, and I trust my application of using it. So all those three things considered, you have to make sure that you choose good things, okay? Now, in all my knowledge of firearms, I have only been exposed to one handgun that I would really question, and that goes for all variations of price ranges and everything. So we'll get into that in a second. Holsters are usually the culprit, and the person putting the gun in the holster
Operating, yeah.
or operating the gun.
Yeah.
99.9% of negligent discharges, or what other words can we call it?
Accidental discharges.
Accidental discharges, the
or
gun-
dumbass discharges. Well,
The gun just going off isn't a thing, okay? That
it
happens
just
because,
went off. No, it didn't.
No, it
you
didn't.
pulled the trigger.
You pulled the trigger.
You actuated something.
Or you have a crappy holster, you put the gun just in your pants or something like that. Like, I had a student in class one time, she was terrified to be there. It was a basic handgun class, and she told me that her brother was holding his son or a small child one time, and the gun just went off in his pants. Now, nobody got hurt or anything, but he was holding a child, so it made it all the more emotional. And everybody was terrified, and they said that the gun just went off. So she was there to, overcome that fear. But I had to tell her, like, that was nobody's fault but his. And like putting a gun in your pants or in a bag without the trigger being protected, that is a bad, bad, bad day.
That's not the gun's fault.
That
That's your
happened.
fault.
That happened at the last shooting range that I worked at. Some guy, and this is a story that I heard before I worked there, but a guy loaded his 1911, which has a manual safety and a grip passive safety, of which you have to push in the grip safety to make the gun fire. He loaded it, chambered it, flipped a safety on, put it in his bag, went upstairs, dropped his duffel bag down on the ground, and everything happened just right, and the gun fired. That was nobody's fault but his for not storing it correctly. So in most cases, when you hear a gun going off, it's the person's fault, the gear's fault, of which is still the person's fault. So we really need to be mindful of that. Now, there is a firearm out there right now that is getting a lot of attention because with very high level instructors on police lines, police officers with the guns in their holsters, there's all kinds of lawsuits going on, and they have been for the past few years. I'm trying to think, it's been a better part of 4 or 5 years now. It's
been a
quite a
while.
while. But they've been collecting lawsuits of issues with this, and it's the SIG P320, and there have been enough situations to, I question it.
Yeah.
I've seen videos of it happening. I've heard from very high level instructors, very competent people that these things, they've seen them happen or that it's happened on their line. And it's just hard to deny that. So
I just had somebody ask me the other day, their department is swapping over to them, and they train here, and he asked me, he said, hey, are we going to be able to use that gun here? It's like, yes.
it's a valid question.
Yeah, because some places you can't, but yes. Do we know what the problem is? No.
That's the problem is we don't, like, it's unpredictable.
And, is it going to happen to you? Probably not. Probably not. And it's so weird that it gives me any sort of pause to say, because I used to almost assuredly tell people that your gun is not going to go off. Like it just can't.
Yeah.
It just can't. And now I question that in my own brain, which
Absolutely.
I hate.
Absolutely.
And that's part of the problem with this. And you know, the first time it happens, you're like, no, the guy definitely did something. Second time, because again, a lot of law enforcement agencies use this gun, and not all cops are gun people, right? That's something that you need to understand. Is people think, well, that guy carries a gun every day, so he's an expert. Not necessarily. So because this happened in his holster, you're like, well, what the hell was he doing? What was he tinkering with? What was he messing with? What? But then it just keeps happening over and over and over and over again, and we saw it. If you're in the gun world online, you saw it happen again yesterday, or whatever day.
Yeah.
The video went out yesterday, but so yeah, 99.9% of the time your gun cannot go off unless you tell it to.
So Jennifer asked if there's any common factors about it when it does happen, even anecdotal. Movement.
Yeah.
That's been about the biggest consistent thing. There's even little tests that they have come up with to, manipulate something on the back of the slide to see if they can create it. And some of them will do it and some of them won't. So that right there,
And,
even though the test isn't 100% guarantee, but the fact that there's differences between them, the tolerances are different enough to, and that's what I believe what the problem is there's a tolerance issue to where one of the internal safeties is not operating correctly, and the momentum is allowing. This is just I have very limited knowledge on the internals of it all. So, but just the unpredictableness. Brent says yes, they're all SIG P320s, and for a while it was only prevalent with the non-higher trim levels, like just the basic P320. But the one that just happened was a Legion, so an X5 Legion. So it pains me.
It does, me too.
It does, because SIG's been around for a long time. They make good stuff. And Jenny, 100 and gajillion%, all the more reason to remember the 4 safety rules.
Yeah,
and to treat it
absolutely.
always like it's loaded, and your safe direction is like... So...
But when it's in a holster,
It should, yes.
Yeah,
A
you know what I
holstered
mean?
gun is different. So,
Yeah.
and that's the problem. So it definitely doesn't make us happy to talk about it.
Yeah,
but
no,
it
not
is.
at all. And that's part of the problem, because there is no definitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what, 2 weeks ago or whatever, SIG shot themselves in the foot with a social media post. They were like,
It ends today.
This is the most reliable, blah, blah, blah. And man, I guess their social media
they
just
got-
lit up. I can only imagine whoever made that post doesn't have a job no more. 'Cause
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad.
So do some research, ask questions, call SIG and be like, hey,
What is
You know,
up?
what's going on?
And we don't know either. I
Yeah.
mean, we just don't. And that's, I don't like that. Like if I could say definitively, this is garbage, right? This ammo is, this so happens I'm picking
Oh,
about.
jeez.
I'm not saying this is garbage, but I'm just saying it's way easier to say, and you have had problems with this actually, but it's way easier to say like this is garbage because it does this thing all the time, and that's not what we have happening
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
not.
So it's
It's-
but that that's part of the problem.
The level of consequence from this mistake is extreme.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's what, because to just, and again, it's hard to say whether it's people or the tool, but because it's so prevalent with this exact model, the ratio is extreme. Like, I've not heard of these things with other manufacturers. So
What's Jason say there?
there's one before it too. So Brent says, there are several decent YouTube videos out there breaking down the problems with design and then incidents that have been documented. And JB says, but we have to say the number of 320s out there are in the millions, and the number for which issues have been reported are in the dozens. I think it's close over 100. Now,
Yeah.
it's not to say that they're all the gun's fault, because again, people are going to jump on the bandwagon.
Oh yeah,
all kinds of
absolutely. Oh
stuff.
yeah, my gun went off. My gun just went off. Yeah, and no, dude, I watched you pull the trigger. No, it just went off. You're gonna have some of that too, for sure. However, how many Glocks are out there?
Yeah.
I mean, and how often are they carried in military, law enforcement, and all that stuff?
Yeah.
There are a bazillion. And we talked about this last night or this morning or whatever. That there's a ton of these guns out there.
Yeah.
And the percentage of those guns is very small that this is happening to.
Yeah.
Very small. But as compared to other firearms, the percentage is very high.
Yeah.
And that's what gives me the pause.
Yeah.
There was an incident, I don't even know how long ago it was, with a Glock that went off in a holster when a guy bent over, and it was a design flaw with the gun. I'm pretty sure, you can't quote me on this because I can't remember specifically, this was several years ago, but I'm pretty sure everything in his gun was factory, but he bent over and he actually flexed the frame, and it allowed the sear to disengage, and somehow the safety got out of the way and all that stuff, and he shot himself in the leg. But it got fixed. So, I don't know.
The responsibility of it is accountability.
Yeah.
So.
So that's that thing.
Yeah, it was all right. Moving on. Will a silencer make my gun silent?
No. No, it's not like the movies. Man, in the movies, it sounds like a little mouse fart. But in big pictures, general, no. Does it make it much more pleasurable to shoot? Yeah.
Yes.
It takes a lot of the sharpness out of the noise. Are they a bit of a pain in the butt to own? A little bit. When you understand the rules and all that, it's really not a huge deal. They are definitely nice. It would be so nice if everybody in the Bay all day long had suppressors.
Yeah, but training with a suppressor on your gun would be a pain in the ass. That's my only thing. It's like, yeah, I'll go downstairs and shoot for enjoyment with a can on and be like, okay, this is nice. It's quiet. But I'm not going to be drawn from my holster. I'm not going to be working on all this stuff that I typically tend to work on. So I love them. I think that I have one myself. It's just application. But they definitely do not make the movie quiet.
No.
Although girls just want to have guns. Sometimes they'll get one of the Ruger Buckmarks or something out and put a can on it, and the girls will shoot it, and they're like, I don't think it went off, because that
did.
one is super quiet.
Yeah.
So I know of an inch. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I enjoy a suppressor on a rifle. I truly don't like to mess with them on a handgun, just because. Two things I don't like about shooting suppressed. The freaking thing gets hot as hell. And so when you're ready to be done, you can't do anything. Vinny's calling me. That's very weird. Let me go answer this call. You keep going.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they're hot, so it's not like you can just like put it back in your pants, like whoo. They're great, and I think that when it comes to shooting guns, they're loud, and especially if you can introduce somebody to firearms and make it a little bit quieter for them, it's a big deal, because the noise is what really gets to you. So, all right. Brent says 22 pistols with a can and subsonics are about as close to movie quiet as you can get. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't go pew. Holster drawing a can sucks. Even a specially made holster, carrying it is dumb. Yeah. I've definitely seen some holsters where people are putting,
Call the shop number.
they're outside the waistband. I cannot imagine holstering a
Okay.
a gun
Vinny,
with a can
hold
on
on.
it.
Vinny says hi.
Hi, Vinny.
Okay, later.
New suppressor technology is making rifle suppression on semi-autos way more enjoyable too. Less gas in the face. That's super
Yeah.
helpful. That's whenever we do have the cans on the rifles for girls just want to have guns. You know, most of them hadn't shot a rifle before, so they get behind the gun and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. And, like, first off, the recoil is nothing because it's 5.5. Well, actually, we usually shoot like 9 mil or something. But I'm like, it's just stinky because it does. It, like, kind of spits gas back in your face a little bit. So it just smells bad, but it's not that big of a deal. And you're right with the different cans that they're coming, the technology and everything are,
Yeah, the more higher flow cans.
yeah, for sure. That is nice. Yes, a lot. I think earlier when we were talking about, can rounds go off if they hit the floor or something, I think that something to be also considerate of is if you do eject a round onto the ground, like you're at the range or whatever, like, can you pick it up and reuse it again? It depends. In most cases, especially if you're here, yes, it's not going to damage it enough unless the gun damaged it or, if it's a 22, a lot of times those get all messed up, and I would just ignore those, yeah. But the most centerfire cartridges would be totally fine to pick it back up, unless it like fell in the mud or like some other.
Make sure it's the
right caliber.
Yes.
Oh, jeez. Yes.
In most cases, just freaking forget it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. You rack the round out, it's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 cents. It's not worth destroying your gun because you reach down and pick up something else.
There was a time when
it was like
that was
$1.50 for a 9 mil. Yeah.
$1.50
But
Ooh, range pickup.
yeah, don't just, if you rack it and it falls out and goes on the ground, don't like start leaning over the counter and trying to pick it up off the ground or anything crazy.
And set the gun down first, please, for the love of
Yes,
God.
yes, set the gun down first.
Yes.
Setback.
Oh, good point. Yep.
So, setback. We talked earlier.
About this ammo.
Okay. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that, but we're going to talk about it
Yeah,
now.
I just made a face.
Yes. I can't open this friggin' box again.
Give it to me. Let me see it.
Anyway, so setback. If you chamber
Careful,
around,
Don't push it too hard.
don't push it too hard. I might push this one backwards. When you chamber around, right, like there's a little ramp that the bullet runs into called the feed ramp and slides up into the chamber, right? When it hits this, if you keep chambering the same round over and over again, it's possible that when it hits that ramp, it pushes the bullet back just a little bit more, and just a little bit more, and just a little bit more. And it takes more pressure to push the projectile downrange. All right, so if you have too much setback, it can be catastrophic. Typically, this takes several times. So when you have your self-defense magazine and you unload your gun to go to the range and shoot, and then you put the same round back on the top of your magazine and feed it into your chamber, and then you do that over and over and over again, you can start to have to worry about setback on the projectile. Typically, it takes multiple times. Typically. Liz had an experience with some SIG ammo. Man, we are just like, and not even on purpose.
Sorry, Sig.
But-
It's not. I'm not gonna.
But loaded it one time, right?
Yeah.
One
Yep.
time, and it substantially set the projectile.
Oh
back
yeah.
on the
I mean,
cartridge.
like, it was very obvious whether you put it next to another one or not. Like, it was. I mean, you had to look at 9 mil. Be used to looking at 9 mil and seeing what's normal and not, and but I noticed it right away, and it was
So
disheartening.
we'll tell people, yeah, definitely something you need to pay attention to. When you're doing your self-defense magazines, occasionally unload them a little bit more, stuff the ammo back in, maybe occasionally set all your ammo up on a shelf and put a straight edge across the top, and if you have any that are shorter, get rid of them.
And like,
Just get rid of
I mean, It doesn't have to be like. Never mind. If it's shorter, just get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
Like,
Just get rid
I'm
of
not going to give you a tolerance here.
Yes, yeah.
You'll get to know your gun.
1 millimeter is better than 2 millimeters, but
Yeah.
still, get rid of it.
Right. Okay, so can you shoot? Oh, so it's past New Year's, but can you shoot a gun straight up in the air?
I mean, you can.
Can. Should you?
No.
No. Even if you're out on some property or something, like go chitty chitty bang bang, like that's bad.
You own the projectiles. Remember that. You own the projectiles until they stop moving. So if you shoot it up in the air, it's going to come down somewhere.
Yep.
Don't do that. The same with warning shots. Neither one of those things are ever okay. Warning shots, bad. Shooting a
Right.
gun up in the air for fun, bad.
Yep. It's amazing
Done.
how many people want to come buy ammo on New Year's Eve. It's like,
It reminds me of the video we did. We did a New Year's Eve video many years ago where
Oh,
we had one of
I
our
saw
employees shoot a gun in the air out back, pretend to. And we did this video in conjunction with Baldwin PD, basically saying, hey, as a public service announcement, don't shoot guns in the air, because it showed her getting arrested and all this stuff. But I added a little muzzle flash and gun noise and all that stuff to the video, and I sent it to the chief to get approval before we published it. And he was like, wait,
did you actually do that?
she didn't actually shoot the gun, did she? I'm like, no, I promise. Like, I'll send you the raw video if you want.
They should have hired you on the Rust set.
Yeah. That'd be bad. Yeah, gravity. Gravity's a pretty awesome thing.
Yeah. Hand loaded or gun show ammo that doesn't have sufficient bullet crimping is really problematic. If
Yeah.
you
That's a long one.
oh boy. If you hear someone shooting a gun and it pops and crackles so that every round sounds different, even with the same ammo, it could be insufficient crimping, causing setback to varying degrees in real time compared to the other rounds in your mags.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Just,
If something's weird with your ammo, just stop shooting
yeah,
it. Like,
gosh dang it, man. I tell you, I have such a hard time. Somebody shows up with a Ziploc bag full of ammo. Do you reload? Nope, my cousin gave this to me. Oh, shit. Lord, I got this from Bob's Ammo at the gun show last weekend. Oh, okay.
Good morning, Gordon.
That's when we see problems either with guns.
Higher probability of squib loads and hang fires.
There's several. We don't do it yet, but there are several instructors that will not allow it in class because it causes too many disruptions to the class.
Yeah.
Right, like no reloads, period. You know, if you're a competitor and you do your own reloading, I mean, how many times you have failures when you're testing out new loads, trying to figure stuff out, and then you have somebody that you don't know doing that and selling you ammo at a gun show. Just stay away.
Avoid. Never buy gun show reloads. Thank you, Paul.
Yes,
I
thank
agree.
you. Yes.
I agree. Real quick, there's a difference between reman and reloads. Like someone hand loading ammunition in their basement is reloads. But there are certain entities, even local ones, that do remanufactured, which have a higher quality control, but not quite as high as a factory standard. So various degrees of quality there. So just be prepared. If you hear a pop, stop. If it's not as much recoil, it's not as much noise, stop and make sure that your gun is still in operating condition. So, holy crap. I think you should mention the difference between reloaded and remade.
That's what he just said.
Yeah.
Boom, Liz said it.
Seen them have a catastrophic failure several times. Yeah. Okay, so how are we doing on time? We're doing pretty good. Do you have to aim a shotgun?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, we hear that when people are looking for a gun. I just need a gun for self-defense. I need a shotgun.
I just need a gun for self-defense or home defense.
Home defense,
just,
yeah.
It's just for home defense. It's just my life. It's fine.
I want a shotgun for one because when I rack it, everybody runs away. Two, I don't have to aim it. I can just point in this general direction, and anything that's evil dies.
Just disintegrates.
Yes. Good survives, evil perishes.
Done.
That's the beauty of a shotgun, right? That's how they work.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you should get those pistol grip shotguns.
Yeah.
Even better.
Way better.
I shot shotguns 30 years ago. I got this.
Gosh, dang it. No.
Blunderbuss.
Blunderbuss, yeah.
You absolutely have to aim a shotgun.
You have to aim a shotgun.
You do.
You have to aim a shotgun.
Even if you're shooting birdshot, like if you ever watch somebody go
Don't
bird
use
hunting,
the,
clays,
birdshot
like,
for self-defense either, by
don't
the way.
use birdshot. But even with birdshot, which scatters the most, you still have to aim it. It still stays together collectively for a good amount of time. We're not going to get into chokes and loads and all that stuff. That changes things. But plain and simple, you have to aim a shotgun.
Yep.
If you use a shotgun without the knowledge of how to aim one, you are going to get yourself in big trouble.
Yeah.
Like, period. So collateral damage is yes. So bad. We had a local ammo remanufacturer when I lived in North Carolina, and they used the same equipment the big factories used, and I would dare say they had equivalent quality control. Yeah. I mean, if you look at like Freedom Munitions and some other similar entities like that, yeah, their quality's pretty good. Again, I wouldn't equate it with factory, but in most cases, but general rule of thumb.
Yeah, I think that you start having issues with different brass and types and all that sort of thing. We had, where my father-in-law lives in Spencer, Iowa, they had a small remanufacturer of ammo there, and I got to go up and check it out one time. And it was super cool to see their sorting and reloading and how it's measuring stuff and spitting out bad brass and bad rounds and stuff. It was super cool to see.
I guess that's really the weak point is, I mean, if you have like the super awesome remanufacture facility and equipment and everything, I guess the weak point would then be the casings being reused because...
Yeah, and they were buying stuff from the military and pallets of empty brass and stuff. But it was really cool to see. We actually stocked the stuff for a while, but we had problems with it. Way more than we do with factory new stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when you see it in the volumes that we do with rental guns and whatever, we definitely saw problems with it. Now, is that a terrible thing for training ammo if you can get it cheap enough? No, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, I don't mind saving a few dollars and having a malfunction every now and again. That doesn't bother me at all. Definitely not to the point where I want to be screwed, bang, bang, damn it, bang, 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 it's constant. That's no fun. But to have a malfunction here and there and save a few dollars, no problems for me.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
Should you pump the action or rack the slide to scare somebody away?
No. Is that a distinct possibility? I mean, it's a small possibility that might happen. That you run the action on your gun and a guy's like, ah, and runs away.
Just like that.
I can't say that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
However,
What
you
if it
cannot
doesn't?
count on that, because that's what people will say. Like, I just need a shotgun so that when they come to my house, I can go. I'm not going to shoot anybody. Holy crap! Are you setting yourself up for an absolute disaster?
Yeah.
Right? Your mindset is that this noise, this thing, is going to make them run away, and if it doesn't, you
Then
have
what?
you have no other plan.
And if there's ammo in the gun and you've never envisioned shooting it, then you just essentially given them a loaded gun.
Yeah.
And
So that's bad.
And then if it's empty, then that's...
If that happens, when I talk about storage of a shotgun, I don't store a shotgun with a round in the chamber with the action release, so you can just run it. It's not to scare the bad guy away. It's to make the gun ready to use.
Right.
If I were to do that and the bad guy went, ah, and ran away,
Awesome.
awesome.
See you later.
I won. Right? Like, that's freaking cool. That's not something I'm counting on happening.
And, in a shotgun, you're envisioning with a shotgun in your home, you're envisioning having a little bit more time. If you're ambushed on the street somewhere and you got your handgun, you definitely don't want to rely on being able to use your other hand to rack a slide.
Nope.
I mean, that is, for one, you are reliant on your other hand, and that could be blocking a loved one, it could be holding a cup of coffee, you could be pushing somebody away, trying to keep them off of you with that hand, and if you get your gun out and you don't have the ability to use that hand, you're definitely behind the curve. So Definitely do not rely on that. Train with your stuff so that way you feel more confident not relying on an empty chamber. If you want to use noise to scare people out of your house, try playing Flight of the Valkyries at max volume over all your Bluetooth speakers.
Sweet. I love it.
Okay, we got a couple minutes left. Does a bullet knock someone off their feet? This is
Not
common...
handguns.
No, not handguns. Man, what? I mean,
It would.
I just want to visualize something. I mean, I can't think of. Let's say they're wearing a vest and you hit them with a slug. Like, that's pretty heavy.
Dude, that'd be. How I want to do that on
I
a
know.
mannequin. Like I want to set a mannequin up with.
That's a lot of power.
Dude.
But
Outside of that, pretty much no.
no.
Not gonna happen.
And you're gonna have no idea if you hit them, where you hit them. So that whole Kentucky windage thing in the moment, it's like, oh, I'll just aim a little bit high right to accommodate my low left. You know, what came to realize something is people do that because, you know, unknowingly, they always think that they don't know that they're making creating more of a problem in the moment because you always talk about how good your aim is. So you feel like if you're not hitting the bullseye, you need to aim better. I need to make this adjustment to hit the bullseye, so I need to aim better. Not just see your sights better, but actually make a math adjustment. And I think that some people look at it like that, and I try to clarify that now. It's like, look, you're not adjusting where you aim to hit the target. You need to fix what is causing the issue, which is your grip and your trigger press. Aside from that, bullets don't knock people off their feet.
No.
In fact, most handguns we're looking for a psychological stop in most cases. So, which means like, oh, I have a gun pointed at me, I'm gonna go away. Oh, I've been shot, I'm gonna go away. Or you have to then, you know, if that doesn't work, then you do have to wait for the physiological stop of blood loss or an instant incapacitation.
Yeah.
The movies have ruined expectations of inexperienced or non-gunners. 100%.
Yeah, I always say that if you shoot somebody, it's not like the movies. We're going to get knocked through a brick wall and off a 12-story building because that's what happens in all the movies.
Yeah.
Bang! I shoot my little 9mm and I get blown through that wall and fall to my death.
Oh my gosh.
It's not.
Or even
not
just
true.
collapse there in that moment. Maybe they don't even fly back, but it's just not going to happen that
No.
way. So, do hollow points explode?
No.
No, they expand. They
Yes.
don't explode. There is exploding tip ammunition, but it's illegal, so don't have that. But no, they just expand out like a little flower. Look at in classroom. My aunt gave me this it's called a bullet bouquet, and it's got 3 hollow points that have been expanded out on little copper stems, and it looks like a little flower pot, so it's pretty cool. Or they shot my psychologist. Let's run away. Or one-shot deaths. Yeah, it's just... I don't know. Do we want to get into that right now?
No, I mean, I don't know if we have the time
Yeah.
of
I
different
kind of
types of physical
yeah.
stops, but
So-
timers and switches kind of thing. It's one shot stops are almost never a thing from a physiological standpoint. They can be a thing from a psychological standpoint,
Yeah.
meaning, like she said, I got shot, holy crap, this guy means business, I'm running the hell away.
Yeah.
Right? That's still a win. But a one shot, boop, and lights are out that can happen. Very small window to make that happen
Yes.
but almost never, especially with a handgun.
Yeah.
Almost never.
For sure.
Do you have to load a magazine in the moment?
No.
Yeah, and this is something, and this might sound weird to you guys that are already in the gun world, but like that's an argument people will have for the revolver is that I can't load this very fast.
You don't have to.
What do you need to? Well, what if somebody comes in the house?
You should have it loaded already. And they can
Yeah.
stay loaded for a long time, and
Yeah.
they don't wear out the springs or anything. You using them over and over again wear out the springs. My
Yes.
training magazines are going to diminish way faster than my defensive ammunition magazines. So it's a good reason to buy more magazines.
Yes, buy more mags.
Yeah.
So no, you do not have to load your magazines in the moment. They will be, because you have done it ahead of time, they will be loaded and ready to go for you.
And have a goal of getting confident with the understanding of how the gun works and your application of it and the gear that you use to carry with around in the chamber, because you would be behind the curve if, God forbid, ever something happened. And that might take time. Knowledge, training, understanding these things are way worth it, I promise. And that should be a goal. If you carry a gun defensively in just your house or on your person, your goal is to get confident and competent enough with your tool and your gear to carry with around in the chamber. And that involves understanding how the gun works, understanding how to safely reholster your gun, how to train with it, know your limitations, and know your tools. So, what's your take on hollow points versus fluted rounds? Have seen evidence of hollow points failing to flower if target has 3 to 4 layers of clothing, thick hoodie and t-shirt. Yeah, so if that's been a thing, like, if it gets material in the tip of the hollow point that it acts more like a full metal jacket, I could see that happening. And
that's what these things are supposed to do, right? I don't
but
know if you
isn't
can
that
see it.
doing the same thing? I always wondered about that. I never really looked
No,
into
it's not
but-
doing it. You can't. It's hard to see on the camera there, but there's a little plug in there. That plug is to help push everything open rather than it getting plugged up and not. They're designed to operate with that in it. Now, can that still
Fail?
change things? Absolutely. I'm sure that it can. The fluted rounds.
I'm talking about like the
I just saw
Lehigh
some.
bullets and stuff. I think what is the
There's some. Oh, they're right there.
Novex, yeah.
I was gonna say I just freaking saw them. So, I really like the idea of these. So this is a self-defense round. This is in 40, I think. All right, but it's not a hollow point.
those are also really light, aren't they?
Yeah, these are 88 grains. So moving 1,600 feet per second. That's zipping.
These are 60 grains moving 2,000 feet per second. Crazy.
So, at any rate, this gets more devastation because it's moving so fast. Remember, we briefly talked about it. It's a very complicated thing, but it's a combination, it's a balance of speed and weight. If you take this guy that's 55 grains, but it's moving 3,000 feet per second versus 55 grains, it's moving 1,000 feet per second, the 3,000 feet per second is going to hit way harder.
That's like a VW bug hitting a wall at 10 miles per hour versus 100 miles an hour. Like and think of how much damage is going to be caused. You can think about it to the car and like how much it's going to divert its energy outward. If it's not hitting it very fast, most of the energy stays within that thing. So I think that.
Now, can I be a FUD for a second though? Right? Like I have a hard time telling myself it's okay to put that stuff in my gun for self-defense.
I do too.
Even though it may be the next best thing, these guys have been around for a really long freaking time and doing the work.
Yeah.
That's
all they make. Or no, that's federal.
Federal.
The Hornady is all they make. I'm pretty sure.
I just have a hard time saying that that's okay. Now, maybe as more and more studies come out and blah, 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 or they start getting used in a department and we see more defensive use and the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of them, maybe I would change my mind. But I have a hard time. I like shooting that stuff if I have an opportunity to, but to carry it for defense, I'd have a hard time. Yeah. I'd rather stick with Federal HST, Hornady critical duty, something that's been around for a really long time. And stay away from like the
ultimate decimators.
Yeah, kill everybody round or whatever. Stay away from that.
You're gonna get questioned about all that stuff in court, regardless of what you carry. You're gonna get questioned about it. So better to say like, hey, this stuff's tried and true, and the stats back it up. And if you say, well, I was trying this stuff because the salesman came in and told me it was a great option because whatever.
Sorry.
That's it. Go.
Total squirrel moment. But I have wanted a VW bug for the longest freaking time. An old school like forever.
Didn't they make them in diesel back
love
in the day?
I would imagine they probably did, but
diesel.
that's not what I'd want. But I had a neighbor growing up that had 2 or 3 of them, and they were freaking.
You put a flower
fast.
on the back of it.
No, that is not true.
Big old.
I
flower.
would get one that I lift a little bit and put a little bit bigger
Oh
tires
my
on
gosh.
and stuff. Dude,
You'd have a
those
Herbie
things-
car.
Yeah, dude, they are so freaking cool. So cool. But yeah, I could probably do 100 miles an hour off a cliff. That's about it. Anyway.
Well, we went through all of them.
I think we did go through pretty much all of those. I don't know what we missed there. I think you did a pretty good job of keeping up on most of the comments and stuff. But and again, really, we said embarrassing gun questions because people often think they feel embarrassed when you answer it. It's like, oh, that was really stupid. No,
Yeah.
it's just because you don't know. I'd much rather have the question like, hey, is that dummy round? Can it go bang? No, ask the question.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Ask the question. I much prefer that than you wondering and not knowing.
Paul says he had a 69 VW Bug when he was a kid. Not exactly a chick magnet. Chicks love VW
But it
Bugs.
would now. Gosh dang it, they're so freaking cool.
You get one of those new VW vans that are like the retro of the.
Dude, I want an old school VW van. Like, I love that old stuff. Again, squirrel moment, but a couple years ago, I was going to Wyoming to go, a couple years ago, this was probably like 10 years ago, going to Wyoming to go prairie dog hunting. And me and my buddy, we're driving. Everybody else from our group was flying out, but we're driving with all the guns. We had so many guns. I was afraid if we got stopped, they would never believe we were going hunting. We had so many guns in the car and like 60,000 rounds of ammo.
Jeez.
It was for 8
That's
of us
awesome.
or something, and it was like just cases of ammo for 22, 223, 6mm, all this crazy stuff.
Got an arsenal.
Anyway, we stopped in the Badlands, and we got talking to this couple that was driving their VW. I don't remember if it was a Vanagon or if it was a bus or what it was. But the max speed of this thing was like 48 miles an hour. That's as fast as they could get it in these higher elevations. But they were having the greatest time. They were traveling from Canada, and they were traveling around the U.S. for like 2 months.
Nice.
And it was freaking cool.
That's cool.
Man,
Yeah.
I'd love to have one. There's a house I ride by when I ride my bike that's got like 3 or 4 VW vans and bugs in his driveway. And every time I go by, I look like, is he outside? I just want to talk to him. He's got to be a cool dude. He's gotta
Probably
be
a
cool
hippie.
dude. Probably, and that's okay.
Hippies are fun.
All right, we got to go away.
Okay, bye.
It's okay, bye.
Just kidding.
All right. If you have any of those types of questions, ask them below. Maybe you're new to the gun world. And just stop it. You don't know what you don't know. Ask the questions. If we don't hop on and answer it, there's plenty of super awesome people in our circle that will hop on and help you out with those types of things. So if you guys need something, come see us, 14803 Manchester Road in beautiful Baldwin, Missouri.
I can't breathe.
We are open 10 to 8, Monday through Friday, Saturday 9 to 6, Sunday 10 to 6. You guys stay safe, be nice to one another. We'll catch you soon. Later.
Toodles.
Bye.